Hi, Misha here, and this weekend I'm traveling, and also we're starting to work on the new area, the new shooting range, and I was trying to think of what gun to kind of break it in with. And it's been about a year since we've talked about and looked at this one, the, well, nominally Hungarian HD18. We'll just call it the Dragunov 7.62 by 54R. Well, officially it is a sniper rifle, according to Soviet designation, but in reality, as we know, it's more of what we would consider a DMR. But it's been a minute, and I thought we'd do an update. I do have a few new accessories and some changes. And more importantly, we have some fresh range footage of it for you. So, let's get into the video. So this video has two purposes. One, it has been over a year since the FEG HD18s came in. And I thought I would give an update, such as there is, with the series in general and mine in particular. And also, we were out walking some new property that will be turned into an actual proper range. That's right, with actual iron targets, other things. And at first I thought I might do kind of a shooting bench or covered area. Now I'm thinking of actually making a small cabin or something that has kind of a shooting porch off of it. We will see. It's kind of fun to plan such things. But we needed to go out there, check on the area where it was safe, talk with neighbors, yada yada, and kind of pick out where we could shoot rifles, pistols, where the sun would be. You know how it is. And I just kind of felt like bringing the HD18 out because I was bringing out the Swiss 751, which is not a dissimilar weapon. Of course, it's in 7.62 NATO. And yeah, it just seemed like a good time. So with that, we'll talk about mine here, kind of revisit what I've done to it, why I did it, and then run some rounds. Sunset in the mountains. There were two things that I knew I would have to replace immediately with this. The first being the furniture. It's hard to find Russian wood handguards, and since this is a late style gun with the smooth top cover and the non-fully lightning cut receiver, polymer handguards would work just fine. Plus I do like them. They're more durable, more heat resistant. Although, fun fact, even though these have been on here a year and have been shot maybe 100 times with it, not a huge number, maybe 150. Cosmoline was really leaking out the front because it was very hot that day. But for the buttstock, I went with wood. First, because I just couldn't find a polymer, but then because, well, I'll talk about it in a minute. But I have to give credit. This is a part that came in after we did the last video. This is an original Russian modern polymer stock, and I got this courtesy of Philander. Took a while to get these out of Russia, but luckily they got out well before all the recent events happened. Steel butt plate and a movable cheek piece. The little spring-loaded detent. Neat design, whereas this one's more of a strap-on butt plate. Cheek rest. But I like having this. It didn't cost a whole lot of money, and it would definitely give it a fully modern look. But I do like the wood. Let me explain why. In fact, let's run our first shooting clip. Actually, the first rounds we're going to fire at the new place, a place that we will hopefully be using for a very long time. Dragunov. are held open. Thump, thump. Thump, thump. So why the wood over the polymer? Well, first off, this mismatched look is not incorrect. In the 80s or 90s, depending on which source you believe, they went away from the wood handguard to the polymer, but they kept the wood buttstock for a time. It would not be until the late 90s, some sources say early 2000s, they would go to the polymer buttstock to match it. The polymer stock is lighter, so it will save you some weight, but that's a double-edged sword. This won't soak up recoil as much, and what I've found shooting both, the wood stock, even though the butt plates are essentially the same, the polymer just thumps you a bit more in the shoulder, if that makes sense. I just find the wood more comfortable in the pistol grip area too. It's more rounded. This is more squared off. It's a comfort thing all around. So that was the furniture. But the other part I knew I had to replace immediately was on the other end. The front sight unit. And not just for cosmetics. Here's the original. At first people were excited because this is threaded and so people could have a removable device. The problem is it was quite lightly pinned on the barrel. A real device actually fits very tightly and it's tapered to really mesh up well with the muzzle. This is not. The pins are very loosely in where it holds to the barrel. On top of that, this front sight base thing is cast on the bottom and also has screws on each side to drift adjust it. They don't stay in. You'll notice this is moving. When I took it out of the box, it's already cracked because the front pin that it uses very lightly skirts this rounded edge. And it was already cracked there. You can click it in. It's very thin cast metal. For so many reasons, lightly attached to the barrel, a cast base that's only using one pin attached to that, and then with a base attached to that with two screws, you've got three different components that could go wonky. Only good news is the muzzle brake / flash hider does fit very tight on the threads, so there's that. So when you saw the first video, I had replaced it with this kind of modern short 4-port, I believe it's 4, yeah, brake, kind of the commercial style, or maybe SVDS style if you prefer, and no bayonet lug. And I still like this, and I may leave it on. However, since then I did pick up this. Again, thanks to Flander, I got an original SVD front sight assembly. Flash hider, bayonet lug, drift adjustable sight. As you can see, it's noticeably longer. And it uses 5 ports. I may eventually go over to it, but I do kind of like the shorter dimensions. Also, common lore has it that this style is a little more accurate, which makes sense because this is a little longer and a little closer in. This is very wide open. I don't know. I can always swap them out. It's just a pin. In Russian service, a standard AKM, later AK-74 style bayonet would be used with this. So notice it's all one unit, all hooks together. Some people laugh that this is a sniper rifle with a bayonet. Well, as I said in the intro, it's more of a maybe high-grade DMR or very low-grade sniper rifle. People debate back and forth. One thing is for sure, they were planning to issue 1 per squad, and they were planning to build between 5,000 and 10,000 a year. So it was very much a everyone rifle. And the thing is, if there was ever a need for all hands on deck, all soldiers to do a bayonet charge, the guy issued with the Dragunov, he'd be out there affixing a bayonet too. So it's there. 99% of the time you'd never need it, but it's just a small chunk Doesn't hurt anything being there. So with that, I do have one more cool accessory to show you, which you've already seen in the shooting clips. Also in that care package from Russia, we have this bipod here. It came with this case, kind of neat, which is apparently it's going to hook on now. Just a kind of nylon case with a belt loop in the back, little pocket in the front. Commercial case, but it's okay. Here we have the bipod. Comes with some paperwork, a wrench, and the bipod. And this clamps onto the receiver here, and does have adjustable legs besides. Now, the military used a few different patterns of bipod. This is what we would think of as a sporting commercial bipod, kind of modern style. More made for the Tiger sporting rifle, but it's still interchangeable. And it is Russian, so I'll take it. Again, the price wasn't too bad. Not at all. Even though the military SVD 63 had the option of a bipod, it rarely availed itself. You didn't see a whole lot of guns with the bipods, at least as a general rule. So it was one of those things, it was an option, but not all that often used. So with that, let's clamp it on and show it deployed. Back to me outside here. Here the bipod is fully deployed. The legs are adjustable, at least a slight amount. But because they're mounted right on the receiver, not only does that not disrupt the barrel, it also gives you a higher level of elevation. Yeah. And here's the PSO scope, fixed 4x24, battery powered with the button here. When this scope was introduced, it was actually quite advanced. The problem is it was introduced in the 1960s. Actually, when it was first introduced, it had an infrared detector, infrared sensor. That's because the night vision, such as it was at the time, used active infrared. But of course that would soon go to the Generation 1 passive devices, rendering the early PSO1's feature pretty useless. But here we are. Again, that removable cheek piece, wood stock, what have you. And with that, let's run another magazine through it at the range. These are the standard 10-round magazines, of course, with bolt hold open, double stack, double feed. They're made of metal. Originally, the followers were also metal. Newer production versions are plastic. And there is even an all-plastic body version. But again, I think it's mostly for commercial use. Oh, I could be wrong. Probably am. Either way, let's run another mag through it at the new range. Dragunov again. So at this point in the day, we were walking the land, kind of planning out where to put a pistol range and a rifle range. And it looks like pistol, we can do 40 to 50 meters max, and rifle, 100 easy, 150. That's about as good as you're going to get in the mountains, and since I can't shoot for accuracy, and that's not the point of this channel, yeah, that should be fine for what it is. But I promised you a bit of an update on the HD18 thing. Now, those who remember from last year, you already know. Those who don't, honestly, and I mean this with full sincerity, don't worry about it. A lot was said and done. Doesn't really matter. I did do a preview video of this gun when they came in and talked about a little bit of thing, and I did more of a in-depth dive into the drama on my personal channel, Misha. But at any rate, the first batch of 50 came in, and then it was eventually followed up last year by the second batch. Fun fact, the second batch was supposed to also be 50 for a total of 100. It was not. FEG Defense shipped 48. And actually one of those 48 was a custom engraved gun that FEG wanted to be gifted to a certain American politician. Namely, remind you, a politician who had no request, probably didn't even know these existed. Anyway, so only 47 of the guns were actually marketable, as it were. And there was a lot of talk about more coming in, yada, yada, yada. That's pretty much how 2021 kind of rounded out. That gets us to 2022. And guess what? There's still only 98/97 of these in the country. So to try to give a better perspective, I've got communiques. I've talked with Copper Custom, and I've talked with Purdue. Well, I haven't directly, but I communications and seeing his posts. So, what does each side say for the future of the Hungarian FEG HD18? These are manufactured by FEG in Hungary, and they are imported by Trident into the USA with their sole distributor as Copper Customs. Now, according to Copper/Trident, no more have come in since the original 2 batches. However, interesting thing, FEG Defense has re-upped its contract with Trident. So they willingly continued the partnership. That's about it. No more have come in. There are talks and promises from FEG to Trident that more will be coming. There's talk of this summer or fall, and they say that the next 100 will look like this one. And then they keep saying after that they're going to go into full-scale serial production, and there will be some differences. But again, nothing has happened. No guns have actually appeared. So we don't know. I can tell you that some people have tried to sell these online. I saw one auction that they were trying to get 9,600 out of one for. Some place was actually asking 13,000. I don't think either sold at that. God, I hope not. That's insanity on top of insanity. But anyway, that's that side and what's going on there. What about the Purdue side? He is posting that 100 guns are coming over and should be here this summer. He is saying they will be like this, but he's also saying that they're getting new barrels made from Walther, and they're accruing new tooling costs and so on and so forth. It's also being said that Trident is in trouble with the ATF. They are not, as far as I'm aware. I mean, they're importing BNT and other guns, or what they were doing in BNTs and some SIGs and stuff, because there was something to be in trouble over. But that FEG Defense was using a different U.S. importer. Again, that's not true according to Trident, who says they have the contract that was renewed by FEG Defense, which is a little odd because then FEG also says that their hands are tied and they're kind of partnered with Trident, so I'm not sure. There was a talk of an FEG Defense USA last year. A domain was set up, but there's no real activity there. Certainly no guns have come over with an FEG Defense real mark. I can tell you that. Yeah, he also says that the ATF went to Hungary to inspect the FEG factory. This, I can tell you from a logistical point of view, is not true. The ATF has no jurisdiction nor desire to go overseas to inspect factories. if I'm being fair, I think he's just mixing up them taking a second look at guns in the USA. It is true that they examined and then re-examined these guns to ensure that they were legal once they were in the USA, and both times they were found to be perfectly fine, so no problems. So I'm going to give credit of just being a small kind of confusion that the ATF didn't go overseas to do an inspection, that they inspected these guns in the USA, because that's kind of how it works. Tech Branch does that. They're in West Virginia. I have sent guns to them for inspection. I could bore you with the process. There it is. Yeah, so we'll see. It's kind of the same stuff we've been hearing, but nothing has actually happened, and I'm one of those people that believes in action over words. So take it as you will. With that said, let's get back to some more action. In fact, let's let J-Ro put a couple of mags to this, and we'll get his hot take right after shooting. J-Ro with the Dragunov.
Kind of anticipated that last one. It's got a lot of punch to it.
So what'd you think?
The thing I really like about this Dragunov is that it's really simplistic in design. I mean, especially with the magazine out. You know, it's almost like it's like an 80s Volvo. It's so boxy and like functional. Obviously, we'd want to put something out there to do some real target shooting with it, because that's what
this is just first day, and I figured to throw it in the car.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have anything put out there far enough away to really give it its due, but it's a great shoot.
This is not the first time he's fired this, so no surprises there. I think it goes without saying we had no failures. Again, unfortunately, we weren't able to test for accuracy this time, but that just gives us another excuse to bring this back out, something I'm very pleased to do. The triggers on these are very good for what they are. The fit and finish is outstanding for what it is, for a military grade gun. Let me preface that. It works well with the parts I've added, the buttstock, the handguard, the muzzle device. Nothing is working loose. The only thing we noticed, like I said earlier, was the Cosmoline dripping out, which just kind of made me laugh. It was the fact that it was nearly 100 degrees outside, plus the barrel heat. The bipod worked really well. We not only used it for shooting, but we actually used it to let it stand on the ground and cool off. It was actually a handy thing to have. I have 5 magazines for this. We tried all 5 mags, surplus and new. These come with 2 mags new with the polymer follower. And then the surplus mags had the steel. All 5 worked perfectly and held the bolt open on the last round, on the last shot. It is a very smooth travel to the bolt. This is not an AK system. It's a short stroke with an adjustable gas regulator, and it uses a 3-lug rotating bolt and a machined receiver. So its commonalities with the Kalashnikov are kind of incidental in the fact that it was meant to be a standard infantry rifle. But we can always talk about the history and the evolution of the actual SVD 63. I think we all know what these are, but no matter what you think, which store you go with, the Hungarian or the other one, these are commercial guns, and that's okay. The SGL-21 is a commercial gun. All your arsenals are. These are very much like Russian commercial Tigers, I'll say that. And that's kind of why I'm okay for right now having the kind of modern style short break on it. And the fact that bipod being commercial seems to be very appropriate. And this scope we've looked at is it's a PSO, but it's the modern kind of commercial take on it. But it takes a more modern battery too. So it is what it is. yeah, I mean, I have really no complaints. I'm very pleased with this gun. Yeah, if I didn't know any better, I would say this came from the Izhmash, the Kalashnikov Concern factory. But we all know better, right? With that, still got one more mag loaded up from the pouch. And there are two ways to unload a mag. One is a lot more fun than the other. Dragunov at dusk. Held open. Well, losing daylight, so pretty good start to a first time out here. Of course, nothing really set up yet, but good first attempt, and we even got to meet the neighbor next door, so we'll report back from here next time. And we come to the end. Hope this was an interesting video. It definitely seemed like a rifle to revisit and also to show being fired more. Sorry, we weren't really able to do anything for accuracy or range because it was the first day out there, but next time we have some steel, we'll start doing it. It'll take a while. Everything's a project. Of course, these are very reliable for what they are, and very well made. As always, if you could, please do like, share, and subscribe. All that fun, good stuff. And if you'd like to help support the channel, you can check out the link to the Patreon page. This is Misha, and I'll catch you very soon next time.